Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Coming to you this evening, sitting outside in my backyard of my little house in East Point that I refer to as Constance House because I live on Constant Street. Um, this evening for my little 10-minute segment, I wanted to say something out loud publicly admitting to something that I have felt in my spirit for a long time, and people that are real close to me knows that when conversations would come up about it, I'd be like, oh, that's a bunch of foolishness. Um, I don't know when it happened. I don't know the year, but it was several years ago. I'm sitting outside, so I've got bees and stuff. Um, somewhere years ago, over time, I quit believing in the devil. And I know, I mean, uh, that really, you have to be careful even saying that out loud. People look at you like you're different, there's something wrong with you. And, you have other people that's so steeped in their uh, religion and teachings and beliefs that they go from that angle. Well, if there is no devil, then there surely is no God. If there is no hell, there surely is no heaven. Like it's got to all be packaged together just the way they see it. Or if you take one little piece, the whole domino starts falling. um, but I don't really. Somewhere over the years, I lost faith in there being almost another deity that's Satan. Beelzebub, Lucifer, the Prince of Darkness, the Prince of this world. Um, I have lived, this is July of the year 2021, I have lived up to this point 65 years. And nothing in that 65 years has ever made me believe there is a Satan that's out there on the warpath, that's going around causing all this violent crime, causing people to do evil, causing, you know, chaos, causing murder, causing mayhem. I've just never seen it. And I have seen a lot of bad in my life. I've seen a man get shot 5 times in his back while I'm standing there with the guy shooting him. I've seen bad stuff. I've did funerals of drive-by shootings of teenagers, of children, of I mean, I've seen bad stuff. But the only devil that I've ever seen in this life was in people, the things that people did. I've come to realize the only devil that I've ever had to confront is me. The devil that's me. Not the devil that's in me, the devil that is me. And so my perspective on teachings along, like when we were kids and we get too noisy or something, Granny or some of the aunts or something would say, y'all kids better knock it off, You playing with fire, you playing with the devil, all that kind of stuff. In my 65 years, I haven't seen it. I mean, it's just like if I went 5 years from now, if I went in, they did an x-ray and they're like, Mr. Sellers, we see a spot on your lungs, more than likely you've got lung cancer. I'm not going to get down and try to come against the enemy. There is no enemy. You're the enemy. I'm the enemy. I'm not going to get down and pray for God to put Satan in his place. I'm not going to blame the devil for that spot on my lungs. And I've become a lot more of a humanist. I'm going to look at that. If that should ever happen, I speak this into existence. That will never happen. That would be a nightmare. But if that did happen, I'd be the first to admit, I probably wasn't living my best life when I smoked those 3 packs of cigarettes and Marlboros a day for 10, 15, 20 years. The chickens have come home to roost, as the famous Chicago preacher made the statement that got him in trouble. So you can't tell somebody else not to believe in Satan. They need Satan in order to have a God in their life. They need a hell in order to have a heaven. Some would say, well, if you don't believe in Satan, surely you can't say with a straight face you believe in God. It's funny, ironic, however I want to phrase it. Maybe it's because of the years that I've lived or the season of my life that I'm in. I've never believed more strongly in a God. But it's not an old Jewish man that sits on this great white throne out in beyond Mars or Juniper or somewhere in the heavens. I believe when those astronauts, those civilians that were that are now astronauts, went up in space for a few minutes yesterday and came back down, and Ronald Reagan, in his famous speech, he said when the Challenger exploded that they left the surly bonds of earth and touched the face of God. I believe they touched the face of God yesterday. I believe the heavens, the universe, the universe of the solar system that we don't even know about, that's millions of light years from us, all that is God, you know. And when you reach a place, it doesn't make me believe in Jesus any less. It you know, for those of you people that kind of know me, you know that I had somebody ask me recently that went to my church for those 15 years, and they're like, Eddie, did you not believe in hell when you preached those 15 years? And I asked them, I said, if you'll recall, there were never no messages about a lake of fire. I said, I never went that, because something in my spirit just said, God's creepy. If God created a lake of fire to burn his creation in, God's kind of sadistic and creepy. You know, I couldn't say that publicly back then. Of course, you know, people, your bills would have been behind the next week because nobody would have came back to church. Nobody would have put nothing in the offering. But I can say that now. If somebody believes in a God, that's that God, that angry God, that vengeful God, that God that's just waiting to punish people, waiting to put cancer upon them, waiting to put sickness upon them, waiting to burn them in the lake of fire at the end of their short time on earth, that God's creepy. Very, very creepy. That's not the God I know. That's not the God. I don't think I've ever known that creepy God. But anyhow, when we were talking, I told him, I said, if you recall, when I would preach, I would always come from the adage of the goodness, where Paul said, the goodness of God will lead a man to repentance. And I said, I never used that. If you need to make sure in case you're going to burn in a lake of fire. That's just creepy to me. It always has been. My mama never believed in it. You know, my mama used to say, you know, the only hell, maybe she influenced me. She said, the only hell you'll ever walk through is when you put on your shoes and walk through this life. There'll be times where the flames are so hot and the pain will be so deep. There can never be any hell no harder or hotter than what you'll walk through some of the days of your life. And maybe that just settled in with me, and I felt that in her spirit that she believed that. And I've always believed that. But anyhow, I got 45 seconds. I don't believe in Satan. I don't believe there is a deity that's the devil, that God's in the end's going to round him and his angels up and then put them in the lake of fire with billions and trillions of humans that God created but no longer had no use for. But man, is there a God? Good heavens. Good heavens. Have you ever seen a hibiscus open in the morning? Have you ever smelt the mountains of North Georgia after a little spring rain? Have you ever seen the haze of the sunset driving down Boulevard heading toward Cabbagetown? Yes, but what was that creepy stuff about being in warfare and fighting the devil's trying to kill my children? Devil, let me just end by this saying. The devil is only as real as you make him. And in my household, among my children and grandchildren, he has no space here. He has no place here because we don't even acknowledge him that he even exists. Good evening, everybody.